I demand that Mr. Hale transfer all 27% of the technical shares under his name to me. Julian Cross did not speak loudly. But in the huge, empty boardroom, his words landed like a bomb dropped into deep water. Every syllable exploded clearly in everyone's ears. I sat in the main seat. The pen spinning between my fingers stopped. The nib scraped across the expensive pearwood conference table, leaving a slight, grating sound. I lifted my head. My gaze crossed the long table and landed on Julian's young, handsome face. At that moment, his expression was filled with certainty. He had once been my secretary. Julian Cross, do you know what you're saying? The one who spoke was our vice president, Martin Wells, an old executive who had followed me since the beginning. His voice was full of disbelief and fury. A secretary openly demanding the founder's technical shares at a board meeting? In 30 years of business, this is the most ridiculous joke I've ever heard. Julian ignored him. His eyes stared straight at me. Or rather, at the seat beside me. Sitting there was my wife, Evelyn Sterling. She was the company's second-largest shareholder and the only daughter of Jonathan Sterling, chairman of Sterling Technologies. Evelyn wore a perfectly tailored Chanel suit today. Her makeup was exquisite. Her expression was as cold and arrogant as ever. She did not look at me. Nor did she look at Julian. She only picked up the coffee in front of her and took a slow sip, as if this absurd scene had nothing to do with her. Julian, I finally said. My voice was so calm that even I was surprised. What gives you the right? Julian smiled. There was open mockery and pity in that smile. Mr. Hale, you'll know what gives me the right very soon. As he spoke, he turned slightly and looked at Evelyn with an almost intimate posture. Evelyn, don't you agree? In an instant, every eye in the boardroom focused on Evelyn. I saw several directors' faces shift between shock and realization. Perhaps they had heard rumors before. They simply had not expected this dirty water to be splashed in front of everyone in such an unbearable way. My heart felt as if an invisible hand had grabbed it tightly. It began to ache in waves. I looked at Evelyn. The woman I had loved for 8 years. The woman I had married for 5. I expected her to stand up as she always did, using that cold, proud tone to rebuke Julian for not knowing his place. But she only set down her coffee cup. The bottom of the cup touched the saucer with a crisp ding. Then she lifted her eyes. Her gaze finally landed on my face. But there was no warmth in it. Only indifference. Give it to him. 2 words. Light as air. Yet they stabbed into my heart like 2 poisoned knives. The conference room fell into dead silence. Even the sound of breathing disappeared. Everyone was stunned by Evelyn's earth-shattering words. Evelyn, what did you say? For a moment, I thought I had misheard. Evelyn frowned slightly, as if impatient. Then she repeated herself. Her voice was not loud, but every word was clear. I said transfer all 27% of the technical shares under his name to Julian Cross. She paused. Her gaze swept over every shocked director present before returning to my face. Her tone carried a condescending kind of charity. I'll personally compensate all losses caused by the transfer. Evelyn Sterling, have you lost your mind? Martin Wells slammed the table and stood. He pointed at Evelyn, his whole body trembling with anger. Do you know what Mr. Hale's 27% technical shares mean? That isn't just money. That's the life of the company. It's the root of Northstar. Northstar. The core artificial intelligence engine I built with my own hands. It was also the reason our company grew from an unknown startup into an industry giant worth over $70 billion in only 5 years. My technical shares were not ordinary shares. They were bound by an extremely strict agreement to all of Northstar's core patents, bottom-layer architecture, and future upgrades. In other words, whoever controlled those shares controlled Northstar itself. A trace of displeasure flashed across Evelyn's face. Clearly, she disliked being spoken to in that tone. Vice President Wells, watch your words. Her voice turned cold. Of course I know what that is. It's only a system. Lucas made it, so someone else can too. The world doesn't stop turning just because one person leaves. Her casual tone made it sound like a trivial matter. You. Martin was so angry he could not speak. His face turned dark red. I raised my hand and signaled for him to sit down. My eyes never left Evelyn's face. I tried to find even the slightest emotional fluctuation there. Guilt. Struggle. Anything. But there was nothing. Only cold, natural indifference. My heart sank little by little into a bottomless abyss. Why? I asked hoarsely. Julian chuckled and answered for her. Mr. Hale, after all this, you still ask why? Don't you smell another man on Evelyn every time she comes home? He stood and walked behind Evelyn. Then he naturally placed both hands on her shoulders. The movement was intimate, possessive, and shamelessly declaring ownership. Or did a tech nerd like you really think a woman like Evelyn would be satisfied with a block of wood who only understands code and data? Boom. Something exploded in my mind. So those perfume scents I thought I imagined. Those nights when she came home later and later. Those increasingly impatient and perfunctory responses. None of them had been my imagination. I had been a complete fool. Kept in the dark. Still smugly believing I had a happy family. Evelyn Sterling, is what he said true? I stared at her and asked each word clearly. Evelyn did not speak. She merely allowed Julian's hands to rub her shoulders. Her silent acceptance gave me the cruelest answer. Huh. I suddenly laughed. I laughed until tears almost came out. I laughed at my own innocence. My own stupidity. I thought I had married love. In truth, I had married an investment. Back then, I carried Northstar's prototype everywhere, hitting wall after wall. It was Evelyn's father, Jonathan Sterling, who saw the value in my technology and invested the first round of funding. My marriage to Evelyn was more like a union between capital and technology. I simply took the play too seriously and mistook a transaction for love. Good. Very good. I stopped laughing and took a deep breath. But the pain in my chest did not lessen at all. Since you want it so badly, I'll give it to you. My words stunned everyone present. Including Julian and Evelyn. They probably had not expected me to agree so easily. Mr. Hale, you can't act impulsively. Martin became anxious. He walked quickly around the table to my side and lowered his voice. This is a trap. They're trying to kick you out. Once you hand over the technical shares, you'll have nothing. I looked at him. This old man had followed me from the earliest days of the startup. His eyes were red now, filled with worry. A trace of warmth passed through my heart. But it was soon covered by a deeper coldness. Uncle Martin, I've made my decision. I patted the back of his hand, signaling him not to worry. Then I looked back at Evelyn. My eyes were calm as water. The shares can be transferred to anyone you designate. But I have one condition. Julian raised an eyebrow. A mocking smile curved at the corner of his mouth. Mr. Hale, do you still think you're qualified to negotiate? Let him speak. Evelyn spoke, as if she was curious what condition I could possibly propose. Divorce. I said 2 words. We divorce. Tomorrow. You leave with nothing. I said you, not me. Julian burst into laughter as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Lucas Hale, did anger fry your brain? Evelyn leaves with nothing? Do you know how many shares the Sterling family holds in this company? Do you know who bought the villa you live in and the sports car you drive? Evelyn's face darkened too. Lucas Hale, I advise you not to push your luck. I'm willing to compensate your losses because we were once husband and wife. Don't refuse respect when it's given. Once husband and wife? I chewed on those words and found them unbearably ironic. Evelyn Sterling, you seem to have forgotten something. When we got married, we signed a prenuptial agreement. The moment I said that, Evelyn's face changed for the first time. She seemed to remember something. A trace of panic flashed in her eyes. That agreement states that after marriage, both parties' assets remain independent. Our marital home, and all assets inside, are under my name. As for the shares you mentioned, those were a premarital gift from your father. They have nothing to do with me. I don't want them. I paused and watched her face grow uglier. The agreement also has one more clause. If either party is unfaithful during the marriage, the at-fault party must leave with nothing. Back then, Evelyn had proposed that agreement herself. She said it was to preserve the purity of our relationship and prevent money from corrupting love. At the time, I had even thought she was innocent and adorable. Now, thinking back, it was laughable. She probably wanted to use that agreement to restrict me. She never expected it to become the chain around her own neck. You're lying. When did I sign that kind of agreement? Evelyn's voice sharpened with panic. Julian frowned too. Clearly, he knew nothing about this. Whether I'm lying, the lawyers will prove it. I looked at her calmly. Evelyn Sterling, you now have two choices. 1. I hand all the evidence to my lawyer, and we meet in court. By then, the scandal of your infidelity and affair with my secretary will spread through the entire circle. The Sterling family's reputation will be destroyed by you. 2. You accept my terms. We divorce peacefully. I transfer the technical shares to Julian, and you leave with nothing. We owe each other nothing. I looked at her pale face. There was no pleasure in my heart. Only dead emptiness. Choose. The conference room sank into a long silence. Evelyn's chest rose and fell violently. She stared at me, eyes full of resentment and unwillingness. She probably never imagined that I, the man she saw as an obedient tech nerd and block of wood, would use such a ruthless move to checkmate her. Julian's expression also looked awful. He tried several times to speak, but seeing Evelyn's dark face, he swallowed the words again. He knew very well that control of this situation was no longer in his hands. Time passed second by second. Fine. At last, Evelyn squeezed out one word from between clenched teeth. I agree. She looked at me, eyes cold as knives. Lucas Hale, you're ruthless. I underestimated you. I said nothing. I simply took two documents from my briefcase. One was the equity transfer agreement. The other was the divorce agreement. I pushed both to the center of the table. Since you agree, sign. My calmness and complete preparation clearly surprised them again. A trace of shock flashed in Evelyn's eyes, then turned into deeper hatred. She probably thought I would act like a resentful spouse, screaming and crying. She was wrong. The greatest grief is a dead heart. When she said give it to him in front of everyone, my heart had already died. And how could a dead man cry? Julian quickly stepped forward and picked up the equity transfer agreement. He read it carefully. When he confirmed, it stated clearly that the 27% technical shares under my name would be transferred to him free of charge. A joy he could no longer suppress appeared on his face. He picked up the pen and signed his name almost impatiently in the transferees section. He pressed so hard the nib nearly tore the paper. Then he pushed the agreement in front of me, urging me with his eyes. I did not move. My gaze landed on Evelyn. Evelyn gritted her teeth and picked up the divorce agreement. She flipped through it roughly. When she saw the clause stating that the woman voluntarily gave up all marital assets, her hand trembled slightly. But in the end, she picked up the pen and signed her name. Lucas Hale, are you satisfied now? She threw the signed agreement in front of me. The pages cut a cold arc through the air. I picked up both documents and confirmed the signatures. Then I picked up the pen too. Under Julian and Evelyn's tense, expectant gaze, and under Martin and the other directors' pained and confused eyes, I slowly signed my name on the equity transfer agreement. Lucas Hale. Every stroke felt like farewell to my past. After signing, I capped the pen and pushed the two documents toward them. Pleasure doing business. I said that to Julian. Then I looked at Evelyn. Never see you again. After speaking, I stood. Without looking at anyone again, I walked straight out of the conference room. Behind me came Julian's barely suppressed laughter and Evelyn's relieved breath. I did not turn back. The moment I walked out of the company building, the July sunlight stung my eyes. I lifted my head and looked at the skyscraper in front of me. I had poured all my effort into it. Now, it no longer had anything to do with me. I did not go home. That villa I once saw as a harbor would only remind me of Evelyn and Julian's betrayal. It would suffocate me. I booked a room at a hotel downtown. Standing before the massive floor-to-ceiling window and looking down at the traffic below, I felt lost for the first time in years. For the past 5 years, my life had been like a precise machine. Company. Home. 2 points on one line. I thought I had everything. A successful career. A happy marriage. Now, I realized all of it was a dream I had woven for myself. When the dream ended, I had nothing. My phone rang at the worst possible time. Martin Wells. After hesitating, I answered. Mr. Hale, what the hell were you thinking? His pained voice came from the other end. How could you really give the shares to him? That was your life's work. You practically handed your own child to a human trafficker. His comparison made me smile bitterly. Uncle Martin, it's done. What's the use of saying this now? How is it useless? We can sue them. Commercial fraud. Misappropriation. There must be a way. Martin sounded emotional. It's useless, I said softly. I signed voluntarily. Black and white. Legally binding. Besides, Evelyn was my wife. In legal terms, it would be difficult to define the decision she pushed me into as fraud. Then we just accept it? Martin's voice was full of unwillingness. Mr. Hale, I don't believe you don't have a backup plan. You're not someone who just sits and waits to die. I fell silent. A backup? Maybe I had one. Maybe I did not. When I signed that agreement, a thought had indeed flashed through my mind. A thought powerful enough to make everyone who betrayed me pay a terrible price. But it was a double-edged sword. Once drawn, it would wound both others and myself. Uncle Martin, thank you. I did not answer directly. These years, you've worked hard. If the company changes in the future, then you. Mr. Hale, stop. Martin interrupted me. I, Martin Wells, was promoted by you personally. In this company, I only recognize you. If you're gone and those monsters take over, I'll be the first to leave. His words warmed my heart. All right. I understand. After hanging up, I took a silver portable hard drive from my briefcase. It was only the size of my palm. The shell was cold and hard, just like my heart at that moment. Inside it was the original and most fundamental bottom layer code of Northstar. I had written it line by line in a shabby rented apartment during the earliest days of the startup. It was Northstar's soul. It was also the last dignity and trump card I held as a technical architect. The company servers had countless backup versions of Northstar. But only I knew that all those versions were missing one key module. A module I called Ruin Gate. It was like a hidden backdoor. And like a time bomb. Most of the time, it had no effect at all. But once triggered, or once future upgrades created logical conflicts with new code, the entire Northstar system would begin collapsing from the bottom layer. The only way to repair it was to overwrite the system with the original master version stored on this hard drive. I rubbed my fingers over the cold hard drive and looked at the night outside the window. Evelyn Sterling. Julian Cross. Did you truly think owning those 27% technical shares meant owning everything? Too naive. What you took was only a golden, gorgeous shell that could explode at any moment. The next day, Evelyn and I finalized the divorce. The process was so quick it felt unreal. No arguing. No pulling back and forth. We were as calm as two strangers handling an ordinary procedure. When we walked out, a thin rain was falling. Lucas. Evelyn suddenly called me. I stopped but did not turn. My father wants to see you. Her voice blurred slightly in the rain. Jonathan Sterling. The name made my heart twitch uncontrollably. He was once the elder I respected most. He was also the one who had arranged this marriage. I did not know what role he had played in this ridiculous farce. Silent consent? Indulgence? I won't see him. I spoke coldly. I have nothing to do with the Sterling family anymore. Then I opened my umbrella and walked into the rain. Behind me came Evelyn's angry voice. Lucas Hale, don't regret this. Regret? My only regret was being blind enough to fall in love with her. Over the next few days, I cut off all outside contact. I changed phone numbers and lived somewhere no one knew me. Every day, other than eating and sleeping, I sat in front of the computer, optimizing the original code on that hard drive again and again. I was like a monk in seclusion, using frantic work to numb my shattered heart. During that time, Martin sent me a few updates through encrypted email. He said Julian had officially taken control of the technical department and sat in my old seat. He also said Julian and Evelyn held a grand celebration party the day after I left, inviting all senior management. At the party, they announced Julian's new identity and the company's ambitious blueprint for the future. Julian drank too much and told everyone proudly that he was the person who understood Northstar best. He said he would double the company's market value within a year. Looking at those words, a cold curve appeared at the corner of my mouth. The person who understood Northstar best? What a joke. Although Julian had been my secretary, at his core he was only a second-rate programmer who knew a little skin-deep code. The only thing he had ever touched was Northstar's surface application layer. As for the bottom layer architecture, that was my forbidden territory alone. Even Martin had never stepped inside it. I closed the email and continued burying myself in code. I was waiting for the right moment. A moment to let everyone see who Northstar's true master was. A moment to make those who betrayed and mocked me pay the price they deserved. That moment would not take long. Because I knew Julian would rush to upgrade Northstar to prove his ability. And that would be the beginning of the explosion. 1 week later, Martin's encrypted email arrived again. Mr. Hale, something happened. The email was short. Only 5 words. But my mind sharpened instantly. I replied at once. What happened? His response came quickly. This time, it was long. That idiot Julian Cross wanted credit with the board, so he forced through the Northstar 2.0 upgrade plan. He gathered the entire technical department and made them work around the clock to create some so-called new kernel. The upgrade patch officially went live last night. As a result, early this morning, several major clients all called to complain. Their systems are experiencing large-scale, unexplainable data disorder and logic collapse. Our biggest client, Panacea Bank, had its online transaction system paralyzed for 3 hours because of the upgrade. The losses are in the hundreds of millions. Their legal letter has already arrived. They demand an immediate explanation and compensation, or they'll terminate all cooperation. The technical department is in complete chaos. Julian and his people tried every method, but they can't find the root problem. He tried rolling the system back to the pre-upgrade version, but discovered it can't be done. Something seems to have locked the system from the bottom layer. Mr. Hale, did you do this? Looking at Martin's final question, full of awe and speculation, I did not reply. I stood, walked to the window, and lit a cigarette. Outside, the sunlight was bright. My mood had never been better. Julian, didn't you say you understood Northstar best? Didn't you say you would double the company's market value? Now the show had only just begun. I took a drag and slowly exhaled. Through the smoke, Evelyn's cold and arrogant face seemed to appear again. It's only a system. Lucas made it, so someone else can too. I'll personally compensate all losses caused by the transfer. I would like to see how you compensate this time. I took out a new phone that had been powered off for days. I turned it on and logged into a long-unused social account. The profile picture was pure black. I typed a new post. Northstar is dead. Burn paper if you need anything. No image. No extra words. Only that one sentence. Then I tapped send. Only one person followed that account. Noah Jensen. The most trusted engineer on Northstar's core technical team. He was a true technical genius, and the only person who had vaguely sensed that Northstar had deeper secrets. Before leaving the company, I had sent him one message. Wait for my signal. Now, the signal had been sent. I believed he would understand. Next, it was time for my former comrades to make their choice. My post landed like a stone dropped into a calm lake. In less than 30 minutes, my new phone received an unfamiliar call. I answered. Boss, is it you? Noah's voice came through, suppressed with excitement. It's me. I saw your post. Northstar is dead. What does that mean? Something huge really happened here. Noah spoke very quickly, clearly having held himself back for a long time. That idiot Julian ruined everything. He doesn't understand Northstar's bottom layer logic at all. He randomly changed the kernel, and now the whole system is almost dead. Boss, is this the signal you mentioned? What do we do now? I could feel Noah and the other engineers around him waiting anxiously. They were soldiers I had trained with my own hands. They were my most trusted partners in technology. I believed their feelings for Northstar were no less than mine. What do you want to do? I asked. Noah froze for a second. Then he said without hesitation. We follow you. Yes. We follow you, boss. Voices rose one after another on the other end. This company isn't the company we fought for anymore. It's full of filth now. A secretary who climbed up through a woman can order real engineers around. We've wanted out for a long time. Exactly. Without you, there is no Northstar. We only recognize you as the boss. Listening to those familiar voices, my eyes grew hot. So I was not empty-handed after all. I still had them. Good. I took a deep breath and suppressed the emotion in my chest. Since you've decided, go do it. But do it beautifully. How beautifully? Noah asked. A cold smile curved at my lips. Mass resignation. Then publish an open letter under the name of Northstar's core technical team. Write that the current technical lead, Julian Cross, is incompetent and arrogant, and that his decisions destroyed Northstar's core architecture and severed the company's technical foundation. Write that you refuse to stand with him. The other end fell into brief silence. Then came excited cheers. Damn. Boss, that's brutal. That's pulling out the bottom of the pot. Open letter. Perfect. I want everyone to know exactly what Julian Cross is. Kill the body and stab the heart. Boss, this is savage. Listening to their excitement, I added. Remember. Send the resignation letters and the open letter at the same time. When the company's stock price falls to the lowest point. Understood. Noah's voice was full of energy. After hanging up, I looked at the post on my screen. Northstar is dead. I knew that from this moment on, this war had truly begun. And I would no longer fight alone. The situation fermented faster than I expected. That afternoon, the company's stock began plunging as soon as the market opened. News of Panacea Bank's system paralysis seemed to grow wings, spreading through the entire financial circle. Then more and more partners began publicly questioning Sterling Technologies' technical ability and credibility. Panic spread among shareholders. A sell-off wave rose higher and higher. In only 2 hours, the company lost nearly $14 billion in market value. And this was only the beginning. Just as senior management was in chaos, desperately trying to stabilize the stock price, Noah and the others dropped the real bomb. A joint resignation letter signed by more than 30 core Northstar engineers was delivered directly to Jonathan Sterling's desk. At the same time, the sharp open letter calling out Julian's incompetence spread virally through major technology media and social platforms. Northstar is dead. This is not alarmism. A clown who climbed up through nepotism stole the founder's life's work. Now he is personally destroying it. We, as part of Northstar's original creators, refuse to stand with him. Every sentence was a knife, stabbing into the company's already collapsing credibility. If the system crash was a technical crisis, then the core team's collective departure announced the complete collapse of the company's technical foundation. It was equivalent to telling the entire market, this company has no future. The news came out. The stock hit limit down. The red chart looked like a shocking wound burned into every investor's heart. I sat in my hotel room, watching news and comments refresh on my computer screen. My heart was calm. All of this was expected. My phone rang again. This time, the number was completely unfamiliar. I answered. A tired, aged voice came from the other end. Lucas, it's me. Jonathan Sterling. I did not speak. Only listened quietly. Come home. His voice still carried a commanding tone, but if one listened carefully, there was an almost undetectable plea inside. Evelyn and Julian's matter was my failure to discipline them. But the company is innocent. It is the life's work of all of us. You cannot watch it be destroyed like this. Come home? I sneered. Chairman Sterling, are you confused? I lost my home long ago. As for the company, that is the Sterling family's company. What does it have to do with me, Lucas Hale? My words clearly angered him. Lucas Hale. Don't be ungrateful. Do you really think the company can't survive without you? I'm telling you, I've already contacted the best overseas technical team. They'll arrive soon and take over. Northstar's vulnerability will be fixed very quickly. Is that so? I laughed softly. Then good luck. But let me give you a friendly reminder. The door to Ruin Gate has opened. Any external force that attempts to repair it will only be swallowed by it and accelerate the collapse. What did you say? What is Ruin Gate? Jonathan's voice revealed confusion and shock. I did not explain. Chairman Sterling, you should think about how to explain things to your shareholders and clients first. Oh, right. I forgot to tell you. Panacea Bank's chairman was my senior in college. He just called me and said the bank will formally sue your company and demand $3 billion in damages. This is only the beginning. After saying that, I hung up. I could imagine Jonathan's furious expression on the other end. But so what? From the moment they joined hands to take everything from me, we became enemies to the death. And I never show mercy to enemies. Jonathan did not call again. But I knew he must be using every possible method to salvage the situation. However, Ruin Gate was a dead end I had personally designed. Unless I acted, no one could solve it. Over the next few days, the company's stock hit limit down again and again. Negative news flooded every platform. Trillion-dollar tech giant collapses overnight. Founder's exit hides wealthy family feud. CEO wife and male secretary force out technical core in modern farmer and snake story. North Star is dead, core team resigns and exposes internal scandal. Evelyn and Julian became the laughingstock of the entire business world. Their photos were dug up and connected with all kinds of ugly headlines. Julian, especially, had his arrogant party photos turned into memes. Equity thief. Soft rice king. PowerPoint god. Mockery covered his entire body. I could imagine him now, hiding in some dark corner like a rat crossing the street, trembling. And Evelyn, the sterling princess who had always valued face more than life, had become the cheating queen despised by everyone. I did not know what she felt. Regret? Hatred? None of it had anything to do with me anymore. That night, I received an unexpected call. Victor Knox. He was the founder and CEO of Galaxy Tech, our biggest competitor. We had fought for 5 years. Enemies and friends at the same time. Lucas, want a drink? His voice carried a trace of gleeful amusement. I did not refuse. In a quiet bar, I met Victor. He poured me a glass of whiskey. I really didn't expect that iron fortress of yours to be broken from the inside. He swirled his glass and sighed. Family misfortune, I answered flatly. Your wife is ruthless. Not very smart, though. Victor's assessment was sharp. She thought your technology was a product anyone could buy with money. She never understood that you are North Star itself. I took a sip of whiskey. The spicy liquid burned my throat. Right now, the whole market is watching the joke. Or rather, watching the Sterling family's joke. Victor looked at me. What's next? Are you just going to watch them die? What else? I asked back. Should I go back, save them, and let them stab me again? Victor smiled. Of course not. He set down the glass and leaned forward slightly, eyes burning. Lucas, come to me. Let's join forces. You bring your technology and your team to Galaxy Tech. I'll give you the vice chairman position and 30% equity. Together, we build a system greater than North Star, swallow their market completely, and let them die even uglier. His proposal was tempting. But I did not answer immediately. I looked at the amber liquid in my glass as countless thoughts flashed through my mind. Joining Galaxy Tech would indeed be the best path for revenge. But it would also mean living under someone else's roof forever. Would I, Lucas Hale, really choose that path? Let me think about it, I said in the end. Victor did not seem anxious. He leaned back and lifted his glass again. Fine. I'll wait. But I advise you to decide quickly. Jonathan Sterling is an old fox. He won't give up easily. Right now, he must be looking for you everywhere. He won't find me, I said confidently. But as soon as I finished speaking, the bar door was pushed open from outside. A group of men in black suits poured in. At the front was a grim-faced middle-aged man. He walked straight to me and bowed slightly. Mr. Hale, our chairman would like to invite you over. I looked at him, then at the expressionless bodyguards behind him. Victor was right. I had still underestimated Jonathan Sterling. I was invited to meet Jonathan. The location was the Sterling family mansion halfway up the mountain. The living room was brightly lit, but the atmosphere was so oppressive it was hard to breathe. Jonathan Sterling sat on the main mahogany sofa, face iron gray. Beside him stood Evelyn, pale and red-eyed. Julian knelt in the center of the living room like a homeless dog. His whole body trembled, and he did not even dare lift his head. Lucas Hale, you finally decided to show yourself. Jonathan looked at me, his voice hoarse, as if he had aged 10 years overnight. I didn't decide to show myself. Your people invited me. I returned without politeness. Embarrassment flashed across Jonathan's face, but he quickly restored his authority. Sit. He pointed to the sofa across from him. I did not sit. I stood there and looked at them coldly. Chairman Sterling, say what you need to say. My time is valuable. I don't have time to watch your family ethics drama. My words made Evelyn's body visibly tremble. She looked up at me with an extremely complicated gaze. Hatred. Unwillingness. And something I could not understand. Regret? Jonathan sighed heavily. Lucas, I know Evelyn wronged you. He pointed at Julian kneeling on the floor. This animal, I already broke one of his legs. Everything he stole, I'll make him spit out double. As for Evelyn, I will also make her give you an explanation. As he spoke, he suddenly stood and walked to me. Then he did something I had not expected. He bowed deeply to me. On behalf of my disappointing daughter, I apologize to you. I ask you to come back, for the sake of my old face and the tens of thousands of company employees. As long as you come back, repair Northstar, and help the company survive this crisis, I am willing to transfer 10% of the shares under my name to you for free. 10%. Before the company's collapse, those shares had been worth more than $7 billion. I had to admit, Jonathan Sterling was an old fox. He knew apologies alone could no longer move me. Only real benefits might make me change my mind. Dad! Evelyn cried out, disbelief written across her face. She probably had never expected that her father, who valued shares like life itself, would offer such a price for my return. Jonathan ignored her. He only looked at me with expectant eyes. Lucas, what do you think? Is that sincere enough? I looked at him and suddenly smiled. Chairman Sterling, have you forgotten? When I left, I took nothing. I even handed over my 27% technical shares. Do you think I care now about your mere 10%? My words poured cold water over Jonathan's burning hope. His face became extremely ugly. Then what exactly do you want? At last, he tore off the mask. His voice was full of anger from embarrassment. Lucas Hale, don't reject the toast and drink the punishment wine. Do you really think the Sterling family is easy to bully? I lifted you to the sky, and I can step you into the mud. Really? The smile on my face grew colder. I look forward to seeing you try. After saying that, I turned to leave. Stop! Jonathan roared. The bodyguards at the door immediately blocked my path. Chairman Sterling, are you planning illegal detention? I turned and looked at him coldly. I advise you to think carefully. If I cannot walk out of this door today, tomorrow's headline across the city will be, Sterling family kidnaps ex-son-in-law. When that happens, your stock price may not simply hit limit down. You. Jonathan trembled with fury, pointing at me, unable to speak. Let him go. At last, he waved his hand in defeat. The bodyguards opened a path. I did not stay another moment. I walked straight out of that mansion that disgusted me. Behind me came Evelyn's suppressed sobs and Jonathan's furious roaring. All of it sounded like background noise to a farce. And I was only a cold spectator. I did not return to the hotel. I went directly to Victor's company. It was already late at night, but Galaxy Tech's building was still brightly lit. Victor seemed to have expected I would come. He had already brewed tea in his office and was waiting for me. Looks like the negotiation failed. He was not surprised when he saw me. He tried to buy me with money. I sat across from him and drank the tea in one gulp. That's Jonathan Sterling. Victor smiled. In his eyes, everything can be measured with money. Family. Dignity. Everything. What about you? How much is your dignity worth? I looked at him and said nothing. My previous offer still stands. Victor's expression turned serious. Lucas, this is your best chance. The Sterling Company is a sinking ship. If we join forces, we can easily sink it completely, then divide all its market and resources. It's a win-win. I was silent for a moment. I don't want to join Galaxy Tech. Victor raised his brows slightly but did not look disappointed. Oh? Then you have a better idea? I'm founding a new company. I looked at him and said each word clearly. A company that belongs to me. I will use the technology in my hands to build an entirely new system that surpasses Northstar. I want everyone to know that I, Lucas Hale, am no one's accessory. If I can create one Northstar, I can create a second. And a third. A flash of admiration appeared in Victor's eyes. You have backbone. He nodded. But creating a new company requires money, people, and resources. What do you have right now? I have technology. I have people. I said, Noah and the others will follow me. As for money, I looked at him. I need an investor. Victor smiled. Are you inviting me to take a stake? No. I shook my head. I'm giving you an opportunity. An opportunity to invest in the future while destroying your old rival along the way. You invest in my new company. We are equal partners. We jointly develop the new system and share the market. And the Sterling Company will be our first shared target. Victor looked at me, his eyes full of scrutiny and interest. After a long while, he burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Lucas Hale, you really are arrogant. From my rival to my partner. That sounds interesting. He stood and extended his hand. I'm in. How much do you need? $70 million in startup funding, I said without hesitation. I keep 51% absolute control. The remaining 49% is yours. Victor's hand paused in midair. 70 million for 49% of a company that did not yet exist. It was an outrageous price. But Victor only hesitated for a moment before gripping my hand firmly. Deal. Ambition shone in his eyes. I'm betting you'll bring me a return 100 times greater than 70 million. Have you thought of the company name? I looked at the dark night sky outside the window. And the brightest star within it. Apex Technologies. To stand at the summit. From now on, I, Lucas Hale, would no longer look up at the stars. I would become the brightest existence among them. The founding of Apex Technologies struck the entire industry like thunder from a clear sky. No one expected that after disappearing for over half a month, would return to the public eye in such a kingly posture. Even fewer expected that I would choose to join hands with my former archrival, Victor Knox. At the press conference, I stood under the spotlight. Beside me was the confident Victor and my former North Star core team led by Noah Jensen. Today, I announced the official founding of Apex Technologies. We will develop the next generation of artificial intelligence operating systems. A revolutionary product that will completely surpass North Star. My voice traveled through countless microphones and cameras to every corner of the world. The reporters below were like sharks smelling blood, pressing shutters madly. Mr. Hale, does founding a new company mean you will directly compete against your former company, Sterling Technologies? One reporter grabbed the first question. Compete? I smiled. No. You used the wrong word. For a ship that has already sunk, we don't compete. We salvage. My words were filled with undisguised dominance and provocation. The room erupted. Mr. Hale, isn't that too confident? As far as we know, Sterling Technologies is in crisis, but it has deep foundations and has hired an international top technical team to repair North Star. Another reporter asked sharply. An international top team? My smile deepened. In my eyes, they're nothing more than expensive wallpaper workers. They can temporarily cover the cracks on the wall, but they can never repair a house rotting from the foundation. Because the blueprint of that house is here. As I spoke, I raised the silver hard drive in my hand. The soul of North Star is here. Without me, it is a pile of scrap metal. My declaration detonated the entire room again. The flashes almost blinded my eyes. I knew that from this moment on, there was no longer room for compromise between me and the Sterling family. One side would live. The other would die. After the press conference, my phone nearly exploded. Congratulations. Probing messages. Furious questions from the Sterling side. I ignored all of them. I only answered one call. Martin Wells. Mr. Hale, no, I should call you Chairman Hale now. Martin's voice was full of emotion and excitement. I watched your press conference today. It was so satisfying. In all my life, I haven't admired many people. You are one of them. Uncle Martin, you're overpraising me. I smiled. How is the company now? How else? The sky is collapsing. Martin's tone instantly became gleeful. That statement of yours was the final straw that broke the camel's back. The stock hit limit down again today. I heard several major shareholders are secretly dumping their holdings. Jonathan Sterling smashed his favorite purple clay tea set in his office. As for Evelyn and Julian, they've become rats in the company. Everyone wants to beat them. I heard Jonathan has ordered them both banned from entering the company. Is that so? Hearing this, no ripple stirred in my heart. All of it was self-inflicted. Chairman Hale, I have a request. Martin's tone suddenly became hesitant. Uncle Martin, say it. I want to resign and work for you. I'm not technical, but I still have some ability in management and market operations. As long as you don't dislike this old man, I'm willing to work like a bull for you. His words surprised me, but more than that, they moved me. Uncle Martin, what are you saying? The doors of Apex Technologies will always be open to you. I'll reserve a vice president role for you, in charge of market and operations. Are you willing to come? From the other end came Martin's choked, excited voice. Yes. Of course I'm willing. A man dies for the one who understands him. Chairman Hale, from now on, my life belongs to you. After hanging up, my heart surged with ambition. We had soldiers. We had food. Sterling family, are you ready to face my wrath? The founding of Apex Technologies was like dropping a boulder into a calm lake. Sterling Technologies, already a giant ship battered by storms, sank even faster in this new wave. The stock price plunged endlessly. In 1 week, the company lost more than $45 billion in market value. That was the $320 billion loss in the headlines. It was not direct cash lost. It was the collapse of market confidence. A devastating destruction of the company's future value. The so-called international top technical team Jonathan hired stood helpless before the dead end called Ruin Gate. They tried every method. They even attempted to brute force the bottom layer code. The result was only a more complete system collapse. In the end, after burning tens of millions of dollars, that overpriced team retreated in disgrace and announced failure. Their failure completely shattered Jonathan's final illusion. Clients began fleeing en masse. Partners once deeply bound to Sterling Technologies turned toward Apex Technologies one after another. Because everyone saw clearly that the future belonged to me. To Apex. Sterling Technologies would only be ruthlessly eliminated. In the middle of this collapsing tide, I received an unexpected call. Evelyn. Her voice was no longer cold and proud. It was tired and hoarse. Lucas, can we meet? Her tone was almost pleading. I was silent for a moment. There's no need. No. There is. Her voice suddenly sharpened. Lucas, do you think you won? Do you think watching my family go bankrupt and watching me lose everything makes you happy? I don't. I answered calmly. I only took back everything that should have belonged to me. Everything that belonged to you? She laughed coldly, with a trace of madness. Lucas, you're too naive. Do you really think you can beat my father? Do you really think founding one new company means you can sleep peacefully? I'm telling you, you're wrong. Completely wrong. My father, he's gone crazy. To salvage the situation, he started using every dirty method. He contacted hackers to attack your new company. He also found people to go after you. She did not finish. But the meaning was obvious. My heart tightened. I had indeed underestimated Jonathan's madness. A cornered dog really would jump the wall. Why are you telling me this? I asked coldly. Evelyn faltered. After a long pause, she spoke in a voice almost like sleepwalking. I don't know. I just don't want to see something happen to you. Lucas, I'm begging you. Stop. You can't beat him. Take your money and leave this place. The farther, the better. If you leave now, it's still not too late. Listening to her words that sounded like they were for my good, I only found them absurd and ironic. Evelyn Sterling, did you forget who forced me to this point? And now, you want me to become a deserter? Do you think that's possible? No need to say more. I interrupted her. Thank you for the reminder. But the word run does not exist in my dictionary. Tell Jonathan Sterling to use whatever tricks he has. I'll take them all. Then I hung up. A cold glint flashed in my eyes. Jonathan Sterling, since you insist on playing with fire, I'll make you burn yourself. Evelyn's call sounded the alarm for me. I immediately contacted Victor and strengthened Apex Technologies' cybersecurity defenses. At the same time, I arranged professional security for myself, Noah, and the rest of the core team. I could not gamble my brothers' lives on Jonathan's humanity. Facts proved my caution correct. The second night after Evelyn's call, Apex Technologies' servers suffered an unprecedentedly violent attack. The attacks came from all over the world. The methods were extremely professional. Clearly, a top-level hacker organization was behind it. Their target was obvious. Apex One's core code. If the code leaked or was destroyed, it would be a devastating blow to a newly founded Apex Technologies. Unfortunately, they underestimated me. I, Lucas Hale, could design a deadly trap like Ruin Gate. How could I not leave a path for myself? From the beginning, Apex One's development was built inside a physically isolated darknet system I designed independently. All core code development and storage happened in this vault, completely disconnected from the public internet. The hackers Jonathan paid a fortune to hire were attacking only a honeypot I had deliberately placed in plain sight. A bait filled with fake code and traps. Boss, the fish took the bait. In the security monitoring room, Noah looked at the screen, where attack data streams poured in wildly and became trapped in my data maze. He rubbed his hands excitedly. They're like a swarm of headless flies that rushed into a maze. They can't find the exit, and they can't retreat either. It's time to close the net. I pressed a red key on the keyboard. Activate reverse tracing. I want to know which sewer these flies came from. Yes. Noah and several security engineers began typing rapidly. On the screen, countless data streams were analyzed and reassembled at visible speed. An invisible net tightened quietly around the attackers hidden in the dark. Half an hour later. Found them. Noah slapped the table. All attack instructions point to the same origin. A server in Eastern Europe. And the funds used to lease the server came from an offshore account under Sterling Group. Evidence is solid. Looking at the clear money flow chart on the screen, a cold smile curved at my lips. Package and encrypt all evidence, I ordered. 1 copy to the police. Commercial Crimes Division. Another copy anonymously to the major media outlets. I want everyone to see what Chairman Jonathan Sterling of Sterling Group does when he cannot afford to lose. This is going to be a show. Noah rubbed his hands, expectation written across his face. I looked out the window. The sky was beginning to brighten. A new day had begun. And for Jonathan Sterling, the end was about to arrive. The scandal of Jonathan hiring hackers to attack Apex Technologies exploded like an atomic bomb in an already boiling public arena. Commercial competition turns into cybercrime. Trillion-dollar empire chairman falls from grace. Can't win, so flip the table? Jonathan Sterling's final madness pushes Sterling Group into the abyss. The headlines were more shocking than the last. The solid evidence chain left Jonathan with no room to deny anything. The police getting involved elevated this from a business dispute to a criminal case. Sterling Group's stock fell again and was directly suspended by the exchange. Banks came to collect debts. Partners terminated contracts. Shareholders collectively rebelled, demanding Jonathan's removal as chairman. That once glorious business empire began falling apart in only days. I stopped paying attention. Because I had already won. The rest was only a matter of time. I poured all my energy into the development of Apex One. I would use an unmatched product to announce that my era had officially arrived. Yet just when I thought everything was about to settle, someone unexpected came to visit me. Julian Cross. When he appeared downstairs at my company, I almost did not recognize him. He was no longer that handsome, confident executive secretary. He wore cheap clothes. His hair was messy. His beard unshaven. His eyes were full of fear and defeat. His left leg was wrapped in thick plaster. Clearly, Jonathan had not gone easy on him. He limped toward me. Before I could speak, he dropped to his knees with a thud. Mr. Hale, no, Chairman Hale. He hugged my leg and cried bitterly. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. I'm an animal. I'm not human. I should never have been blinded and believed Evelyn Sterling's words. I should never have betrayed you. Please, be magnanimous. Spare my life. His cries attracted many glances. I frowned and tried to pull away. Let go. I won't. If you don't forgive me, I won't get up. He clung to my leg like a disgusting plaster that would not come off. Chairman Hale, I know you hate me. But I was forced to. He began defending himself. It was Evelyn. She seduced me first. She said she was tired of you, that block of wood, and that you couldn't satisfy her at all. She said that as long as I drove you out, she would make me vice president and let me own everything you had. I was confused for a moment. That's why I fell into her trap. And Jonathan Sterling. That old fox isn't good either. At the board meeting, he said nothing on the surface, but he had already silently approved Evelyn's plan. He wanted to replace you, the technical core, with a more obedient puppet long ago. Those father and daughter are the true culprits. I was only a chess piece in their hands. He cried and shouted, washing himself clean. Looking at his ugly face, I only felt nauseous. Done? I asked coldly. He froze, then nodded. If you're done, get lost. Chairman Hale. I'll say it again. Get lost. My voice held no warmth. Julian Cross, don't act in front of me. I know what kind of person you are better than anyone. You came here only because you want me to spare you. Or maybe you want to squeeze one last benefit from me. I'm telling you. Impossible. The law will punish the mistakes you made. The Sterling family will settle what you owe them. And what you owe me. I looked at his desperate eyes and enunciated each word. I will make you spend your whole life repaying it. I will let you watch me stand at a height you can never reach. And you will sink deeper and deeper in the mud, never to turn over again. After saying that, I shook off his hands with force and walked into the company building without looking back. Behind me came his desperate, hysterical wailing. I did not turn around. For people like him, any sympathy would be an insult to myself. Julian's ending was worse than I had imagined. Because he was suspected of commercial fraud and occupational embezzlement, the police officially opened a case against him. The Sterling family, because he had bitten them back, also hated him to the bone. Jonathan used his connections to dig up every rotten thing Julian had ever done. In the end, with multiple crimes combined, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. A once glorious executive secretary. An ambitious man who almost stole $1 trillion empire. In the end, he would spend the best 10 years of his youth behind iron bars. That was the price of betrayal. And the Sterling family's ending had long been decided. After the stock collapse, chairman investigation, core asset freeze, and a series of blows, Sterling Group, once a commercial giant, finally reached the edge of bankruptcy liquidation. To repay massive bank loans and compensation, Jonathan had to sell off family assets. Mansion. Sports cars. Antiques. Paintings. Everything was sealed and waiting for auction. The final straw that broke the camel's back was me. Under Victor's operation, Apex Technologies joined several capital groups and launched a low-floor price acquisition of Sterling Group's quality assets. Among them was the headquarters building where I had worked for 5 years. On signing day, Jonathan came too. He seemed to have aged 20 years overnight. His hair was completely white. His back was hunched. The authority and dominance he once had were gone. He was only a fallen old man with hollow eyes. He looked at me. His lips moved several times, as if he wanted to say something. In the end, he said nothing. He only looked deeply at me, then signed his name on the asset transfer agreement. At that moment, I saw a cloudy tear slide from the corner of his eye. I felt no pleasure. Only empty calm. I had won this war. Completely. But my heart held no joy of victory. Because to win it, I had paid a heavy price. I lost a relationship I once cherished. And I saw through the ugliness and coldness of human nature. When I left the conference room, I saw a familiar figure at the end of the hallway. Evelyn. She wore plain clothes and no makeup. Her expression was haggard. The queenly aura she once carried had vanished. She was only an ordinary woman who had lost her soul. When she saw me, her gaze flickered away complicatedly. Then she lowered her head. We passed by each other. From beginning to end, neither of us spoke. I knew that from that moment on, we had truly become two parallel lines that would never meet again. From now on, mountains high and rivers long. Never to meet again. I thought the story should end there. But life is always more dramatic than fiction. Just as Apex Technologies officially moved into its new office building, the same place where I had once fought for 5 years, and prepared to begin its next stage, I received an anonymous package. Inside was nothing but a small USB drive. I was confused, but I had the technical staff open it in an absolutely secure environment. There was only one video file on it. The footage was dim, as if secretly recorded on a phone in an unlit room. 2 voices I knew too well came from inside. Evelyn and Julian. Have you really decided? You're going to confront him at the board meeting that day? Julian's voice sounded uncertain. What else? Am I supposed to live in that tech nerd's shadow forever? Evelyn's voice was cold and decisive. I'm sick of it. Sick of him spending every day with nothing but code and data. Sick of the way he looks at me, like he's looking at a program I can't understand. I am the Sterling daughter. This company should have belonged to me. But, the technical shares in his hands are tied to Northstar's core patents. Without him, Northstar. It's just one broken system. My father said with enough money, what kind of technology can't be bought? Lucas is too arrogant. He thinks the company can't run without him. I want him to see that we can still play the game without him. And I want him to have nothing. I want him to taste what it feels like to fall from the clouds into the mud. Who told him? Who told him that I didn't exist in his heart? Evelyn, you. Don't say more. I've decided. You just do as I tell you. After it's done, I won't treat you badly. The video ended abruptly there. I sat before the screen, silent for a long time. My heart was filled with mixed feelings. I had always thought Evelyn betrayed me simply because she had fallen for Julian. Only now did I understand that behind it was a complicated mix of long-suppressed unwillingness, jealousy, and twisted revenge. What she hated was not that I did not love her. It was that I had not made her the center of my world as she expected. What she hated was the light I displayed in my professional field. A light she could never reach. It was extreme arrogance born from inferiority. Boss, this video. Noah looked at me, wanting to speak but hesitating. Who sent it? Can't trace it. Whoever did this is an expert. They erased all traces. Noah shook his head. I looked at the frozen dim frame on the screen. In my heart, a guess faintly appeared. Could it be her? The woman who called me at the last moment to warn me? Why did she send this video? Did she want me to see her reasons? Or did she want to make one final defense for her pathetic pride? I did not know. Nor did I want to know anymore. Delete it. I waved my hand, my tone calm. Let the past stay in the past. We look forward. Noah nodded and pressed delete. As the video file was completely destroyed, that unbearable past between Evelyn and me seemed to be buried with it. Goodbye, Evelyn Sterling. Goodbye, the person I once loved. May you one day learn how to love someone. And also learn how to reconcile with your own ordinariness. Apex Technologies entered the fast lane. With abundant funding and top-tier talent, Apex One's development progressed at incredible speed. In only half a year, we released the first test version. Its performance and architecture exceeded everyone's imagination. It not only fully matched and surpassed Northstar's functions, it also achieved revolutionary breakthroughs in human-machine interaction, deep learning, and data security. The birth of Apex One officially announced a new era in artificial intelligence. And I, Lucas Hale, was the creator of that era. Orders came flying in like snow from around the world. The clients who once abandoned Sterling Technologies became our most loyal partners. Apex Technologies' valuation rose rapidly. Soon, it broke through $140 billion. I became the hottest star in the tech world. I appeared on the covers of major financial magazines. People called me the technical ghost, the business genius, and the king who rose from ruins. Facing those praises, my heart remained clear and calm. Because I knew none of it came easily. And I also knew that behind success, invisible dangers always lurk. One day, Victor came to find me. His face carried a rare heaviness. Lucas, we may have trouble. He handed me a document. It contained information on an overseas investment firm I had never heard of. This company is called Abyss Capital, Victor said heavily. Recently, they've been aggressively buying our floating shares on the secondary market. Although our equity structure is stable and most shares are in our own hands, their behavior is very abnormal. I looked into their background and found that it isn't simple. Behind them seems to be a massive financial oligarch family spanning Europe and America. This family is notorious for ruthless methods, hostile acquisitions, and dismantling high-tech companies. They're like vultures circling the sky, targeting fat meat like us, companies that have just taken off but haven't fully stabilized. I looked at the company logo on the document, a symbol like a mouth of the abyss, and frowned. What do they want? Hostile takeover? Possibly, Victor nodded. But I suspect their goal is more than that. I think they're targeting Apex One's core technology. They may want to become shareholders through capital operations, then find ways to steal our technology. Victor's guess rang alarm bells in my mind. It was not that I had never imagined someone coveting our technology. I just had not expected them to arrive so quickly, with such a powerful background. We need to prepare. I looked at Victor, gaze firm. Notify everyone. Starting today, the company activates the highest level security protocol. All contact with core technology must happen under my or Noah's personal supervision. Also, have our legal team begin studying a poison pill plan against hostile acquisition. I don't care whether they are Abyss Capital or Hell Capital. If they want to snatch food from Lucas Hale's mouth, they'd better check whether their teeth are hard enough. The hidden war with Abyss Capital began quietly. They were like hunters hidden in darkness. Patient. Deadly. They no longer bought massive amounts in the open market. Instead, they broke their operations into pieces, using dozens of shell accounts to quietly increase their holdings little by little. At the same time, they began searching for breakthroughs inside our company. High-paying poaching offers. Commercial spies. Honey traps. All the methods one only sees in business war movies appeared one after another. But they all failed. Apex's core team was trained by me personally. Their loyalty to me was almost blind. Besides, the treatment I gave them was already top of the industry. Money and beauty had little attraction to technical nerds who had long achieved financial freedom. Our airtight security system also made those spies who attempted to steal trade secrets return empty-handed. After several failed tests, Abyss Capital finally lost patience. They began using the most direct and despicable method: public opinion attacks. Overnight, large numbers of negative articles appeared online, smearing Apex Technologies and Apex One. Apex One has fatal security vulnerabilities, user privacy may be destroyed. Technical myth collapses. Lucas Hale exposed for plagiarizing foreign open-source code. Inside Apex Technologies, a business empire built on lies. These articles sounded detailed and convincing. They even contained carefully forged technical analysis and insider leaks. For a time, public opinion erupted. Apex's stock fell in response. Many clients and investors who did not know the truth began to doubt us. Those bastards. Too despicable. In the conference room, Martin slammed the table. They want to destroy us. Boss, we must counterattack immediately. Noah looked furious too. We hold a press conference, present evidence, and clarify everything. No. I shook my head. Clarifying now only drags us into an endless war of words. Since they dare do this, they must have countless follow-up tricks and forged evidence prepared. The more we explain, the deeper they drag us into the mud. Then what do? Just watch them pour dirty water on us? Martin was anxious. Of course not. A cold smile curved at my mouth. To deal with thugs, you use methods more thuggish than theirs. I looked at Noah. Do you remember the hackers we caught last time when they attacked us? Noah froze, then his eyes lit up. Boss, you mean? Give them a taste of their own medicine. I looked out the window, eyes cold. They like playing public opinion war, right? Then I'll give them a gift powerful enough to ruin them forever. I want the whole world to see exactly how many filthy secrets are hidden inside this so-called Abyss Capital. I contacted the leader of the hacker organization we had previously captured. In the face of absolute strength and irresistible benefits, he happily accepted my employment. I gave him one task. Invade Abyss Capital and all servers belonging to the financial oligarch family behind it. Dig out every piece of dirt he could find. Illegal capital operations. Money laundering. Market manipulation. Collusion between politicians and business. Even dirtier private scandals powerful enough to ruin their reputation. I wanted hard evidence that could nail them permanently to the pillar of shame. This was a gamble. If it failed, or if they traced it back to me, what awaited me would be an abyss beyond recovery. But I had no choice. Against a crocodile like Abyss Capital, normal business competition no longer meant anything. Either be swallowed, or drag it down from its altar and fight in the mud. I chose the latter. During those waiting days, I endured enormous pressure. The stock continued falling. Shareholders panicked. Board meetings were full of questions and arguments. Victor stood firmly on my side, but worry was written on his face too. Lucas, are you sure you want to do this? This is too risky. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I looked at him calmly. I have no retreat. Finally, at dawn on the 5th day, I received an encrypted email from the hacker leader. Inside was only one attachment. Its name was Pandora's Box. I took a deep breath and opened it. The contents inside shocked even me, someone who had seen countless dirty tricks in business. Abyss Capital and the family behind it had committed too many crimes to count over decades. They were like a giant tumor parasitizing the global financial system, feeding on the blood of countless people. Among the files, one marked top secret caught my attention. It was the private medical record of old Mr. Hunt, founder of Abyss Capital. The records showed that this man, who appeared energetic and controlled a massive financial empire, had actually developed severe Alzheimer's disease long ago. His memory and cognitive ability were degenerating rapidly. The only reason he could maintain an appearance of normalcy was an unapproved experimental drug. And that drug had extremely serious side effects. It caused severe violent and aggressive tendencies in users. The file also contained several videos of old Hunt privately abusing subordinates and even his own family members. The images were so cruel they were horrifying. Looking at those files, my hand trembled slightly. I knew I had found it. The nuclear bomb powerful enough to detonate the entire abyss. Send this medical record and those videos anonymously to the largest media outlets in the world. I gave the hacker leader the final instruction. Remember. Make them believe the leak came from a conscience-driven insider at Abyss Capital. Understood. After finishing everything, I leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. I knew that starting tomorrow, the world would no longer be calm. And I would personally open this Pandora's box. When the first light of dawn brightened the skyline, the bomb I had lit detonated on time. The shocking scandal of Abyss Capital's founder swept across the world at viral speed. Financial giant. Philanthropist. Leader of high society. All the halos that once covered Old Hunt's head were torn apart overnight. In their place came labels powerful enough to destroy him. Sadist. Psychopath. Hypocrite. Abyss Capital's stock collapsed in response. In one day, nearly $100 billion of market value evaporated. The family behind it also fell into unprecedented chaos and internal fighting. No one had the energy to care about Apex Technologies, a small role, anymore. Their own backyard was already burning. The negative news that had smeared us disappeared overnight. In its place came major media digging deep into Abyss Capital's black history and condemning them. No one was stupid. Everyone could see this was a planned, precise, deadly counterattack. And the person brave enough to swing a blade at the abyss. Who else could it be but me, Lucas Hale? Lucas Hale, you lunatic. Victor paced back and forth in my office, his face filled with lingering fear and excitement. I never imagined you'd dare play this big. You were dancing on the edge of a knife. I won, didn't I? I looked at him calmly. Yes, you won. Victor stopped and looked at me. His eyes held complicated emotions. Admiration. Fear. And a trace of terror even he did not notice. You didn't just win. You became a legend in one battle. Now all of Wall Street is talking about you. They say you are the most terrifying dragon slayer from the East. Dragon slayer? I smiled. I never wanted to slay dragons. I simply didn't want to be eaten by one. When a dragon wants to eat you, your only choice is to become a dragon fiercer and more vicious than it. My words silenced Victor. After a long time, he sighed. Lucas, I realize I understand you less and less. Before, I thought you were only a technical genius. Then I thought you were a business genius. Now I realize you are a born warlord. To be your friend is fortunate. To be your enemy is unfortunate. He extended his hand. Pleasure working with you, my Dragon Slayer partner. I shook his hand. Pleasure working with you. Outside the window, the sunlight was perfect. The dark clouds hanging over Apex Technologies were completely swept away. I knew that from today on, no one would dare provoke us lightly. Because everyone now knew. Apex Technologies was not a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. It was a sleeping lion. Whoever dared disturb its dream had to prepare to be torn to pieces. Abyss Capital collapsed faster than anyone expected. Under the double blow of scandal and internal strife, that once unbeatable financial empire quickly fell apart. Old Hunt was forcibly sent to a psychiatric hospital by his family. His descendants fought bloody battles over the massive inheritance. No one remembered that they had once tried to swallow a technology company from the East called Apex. That crisis ended in a dramatic way. Apex Technologies became famous from the storm. Our stock swept away the decline and rebounded strongly, even rising 30% above its pre-crisis level. Everyone saw our strength. And our ruthlessness. From then on, no one dared underestimate us. Life seemed to return to normal. Every day, I immersed myself in the continued development and upgrading of Apex One. Technology was my true paradise. Here, there was no betrayal. No conspiracy. Only pure logic and creation. One day, I was in the lab testing a new algorithm model. My secretary knocked and entered. Chairman Hale, downstairs, there's a woman asking to see you by name. She says her name is Evelyn Sterling. The name made my hand pause. It had been a long time since I heard it. So long I almost forgot that I had once had that marriage. No. I waved my hand. I did not want that name disturbing my peace. But. My secretary looked troubled. She said there is something she must give you personally. She said it's about your mother. Mother. The word stabbed my heart like a needle. My mother died in a car accident when I was in college. The only thing she left me was a safety knot she had woven herself, long faded with age. I had always treasured it as my most precious keepsake. How could Evelyn have something belonging to my mother? I frowned. Doubt overcame disgust. Let her up. In my office, I saw Evelyn again. She looked even more haggard and fallen than the last time we met. The pride and radiance she once had were completely gone. Only a dead gray remained on her face. When she saw me, her gaze flickered away complicatedly. Then she took a small, worn jewelry box from her cloth bag. "This is yours." She placed the box on my desk, voice hoarse. I opened it. Inside lay a safety knot. My mother's safety knot. I remembered that when I left that house, I searched everywhere for it but could not find it. I thought it had been lost in the chaos. I never expected it to be with her. "Where did you find it?" I picked up the safety knot, my voice dry. "Inside your copy of 100 Years of Solitude in the Study." Evelyn lowered her head and said softly, "After our divorce, when I went back to pack things, I found it by accident. I originally wanted to throw it away." Her voice carried a trace of self-mockery. "But for some reason, I kept it. I don't know why either." I rubbed the safety knot. It felt as if my mother's warmth still remained on it. My heart filled with complicated emotions. "Thank you." In the end, I said those 2 words to her. No matter what, she had helped me recover the most important thing I had lost. Evelyn's body trembled slightly. She lifted her head and looked at me. Her eyes reddened instantly. "Lucas, She seemed to want to say something. But in the end, she shook her head. "I'm sorry." She left those 3 words behind, then turned and almost fled my office. I watched her escape. There was no ripple in my heart. Sorry? Too late. Some harm, once done, can never be repaired. Some cracks, once formed, can never be healed. I picked up the safety knot and held it tightly in my palm. "Mom, I'm doing well. I didn't disappoint you. I've grown up. Time is the best medicine. It can smooth the deepest wounds. It can also dilute the strongest hatred." In the blink of an eye, 2 more years passed. Under my leadership, Apex Technologies became the absolute ruler of the global artificial intelligence field. Apex One had iterated to version 3.0. Its applications had seeped into every corner of society. Finance, medicine, transportation, education. We were using technology to change the world. And I had transformed from a pure technician into a mature entrepreneur who controlled a trillion-dollar business empire. I was no longer the foolish young man who let emotion cloud his judgment. I learned calmness. I learned weighing interests. I learned how to protect everything I cherished. Around me were new partners and comrades. Noah had grown into a CTO who could stand alone. Martin handled the company's market operations with perfect order. Victor remained my most tacit partner and most worthy of caution friend. Together, we created an era that belonged to us. As for those who had once hurt me, they had long disappeared from my world. Jonathan Sterling fell ill after the bankruptcy and never recovered. In endless regret and unwillingness, he died in depression. Julian remained in prison, paying the price for his greed and stupidity. As for Evelyn, occasionally, I would hear about her in gossip news. After the Sterling family went bankrupt, she sold all her luxury goods to repay debts. From a princess in the clouds, she fell into an ordinary life of struggling to survive. She worked many jobs. Sales, clerk, even waitress in a restaurant. But her pride made it impossible for her to stay in any job for long. Later, I heard she married an ordinary salaryman and lived a plain and tight life. After that, there was no more news. She was like a shooting star that once cut a blinding line through my night sky before falling completely. I felt no schadenfreude over her ending. Nor pity. Everyone must bear the consequences of their choices. That is the fairest rule in this world. This day was Apex Technologies' 3rd anniversary celebration. The company held a grand reception. As founder, I stood on stage and looked at the familiar, energetic faces below. My heart was full of emotion. 3 years ago, I had nothing and was driven out of the company I founded with my own hands. You chose to believe me. You followed me and started from zero. Today, we stand here, at the top of the world. I want to say thank you. Thank you for standing with me as we reached the summit. The moment I finished, thunderous applause rang out below. I saw Noah, Martin, and the old comrades who had walked this road with me all the way. Their eyes were red. I raised my glass. To our past. And to an even brighter future. Cheers. Countless glasses were lifted high. The sound of glasses colliding became the most beautiful symphony of victory. I drank it all. The sharp alcohol slid down my throat, bringing a trace of long-lost satisfaction. I knew my story was only beginning. The era that belonged to me, Lucas Hale, had just opened. During the second half of the celebration, I slipped away from the noisy crowd and went alone to the rooftop terrace. The night wind was cool, clearing some of the alcohol from my head. I looked down at the brilliant city lights below. My heart was peaceful. Footsteps sounded behind me. I did not turn. I knew who it was. "Why are you hiding here alone?" Victor's voice sounded beside me as he handed me a cigar. I shook my head. "I quit." Victor raised a brow in surprise, then lit it himself and took a deep drag. "Tonight, you're the absolute star. Why don't you look happy?" "It's not that I'm unhappy. I'm just thinking about some things." I leaned against the railing and looked into the distance. "Thinking about your ex-wife?" Victor teased. I shook my head. "I'm thinking, if I hadn't chosen to leave back then and had compromised instead, what would I be like now? Isn't that obvious?" Victor exhaled a ring of smoke. "They would squeeze every last drop of value from you like sugarcane, then kick you away. Your North Star would become Julian's stepping stone. Eventually, because of his incompetence and the Sterling family's short-sightedness, it would become worthless garbage. And you, Lucas Hale, would become the biggest joke in the industry." His words were cruel. But realistic. Yes. I smiled self-mockingly. So maybe I should thank them. Thank their betrayal for letting me see reality. Thank their stupidity for giving me the chance to counterattack from desperation. Sometimes, destruction is rebirth. Victor looked at me, eyes deep. "Lucas, you've changed. Before, you were like an unsheathed sword. Sharp, but easily hurting yourself. Now, you're like an ancient blade hidden in its scabbard. Calm on the surface, but able to release lethal killing intent in an instant. Is that so?" I smiled and said nothing. "People grow." "Yes. People grow." Victor extinguished the cigar. "What's Apex's next goal?" "You've stabilized the domestic market. Is it time to go overseas?" "Going overseas is inevitable." I looked into the distant night sky, gaze firm. "My goal is the stars and the sea. I want Apex's flag planted in every corner of this planet. I want Chinese technology to stand at the top of the world." Victor looked at me. Ambition burned in his eyes too. "The stars and the sea. I like that." He slapped my shoulder heavily. "Count me in. Let's go meet those real overseas giants." "Good." I extended my hand. Our hands gripped firmly. I knew that a far larger and more difficult war was about to begin in the distance. But this time, I was not afraid. Because beside me were comrades. In my heart was faith. Beneath my feet was solid ground. And my journey was toward the stars and the sea. Apex Technologies' overseas expansion was not smooth. Abroad, we encountered unprecedented resistance. Technical barriers. Patent lawsuits. Cultural differences. And relentless suppression from local tech giants. They saw us as invaders and used every method to strangle us in the cradle. Those were extremely difficult years. Every day was war. In court. At negotiation tables. On invisible code battlefields where no smoke rose. I led my team like a pack of tireless wolves, cutting through a foreign jungle, fighting bloody battles. Several times, we were pushed to the edge and nearly gave up. But whenever I remembered how I had walked from nothing to where I stood, fighting spirit burned in me again. I had survived betrayal and destruction. What else could defeat me? Finally, after 2 full years of brutal struggle, we tore open a gap. With absolute technical advantage and more competitive pricing, we won the favor of Europe's largest telecom operator and signed a historic $10 billion deal. That deal was like a domino. It triggered a chain reaction. More and more overseas clients began extending olive branches to us. Apex Technologies' overseas market was fully opened. We succeeded. On someone else's home field, we took food from the tiger's mouth and carved out territory of our own. When the news reached home, the nation celebrated. Apex Technologies was praised as a national pride and a model for companies going global. My name again appeared on front pages and headlines everywhere. Yet just as my career reached its peak, I made a decision no one expected. I announced my resignation as CEO of Apex Technologies. I handed daily management to a new management committee composed of Noah, Martin, and the others. I kept only the titles of chairman and chief technical architect. I stepped behind the scenes and returned to the laboratory I knew and loved most. Lucas, are you insane? Victor was the first to rush into my office and question me. Do you know what you're giving up? The peak of power. Supreme glory. I know. I looked at him calmly. But those are not what I want. I am a technical person. My battlefield is in code, in algorithms, in unknown technological frontiers. Not in endless meetings and fake social engagements. I'm tired, Victor. These years, I've been fighting and running non-stop. I won everything, but I also lost a lot. Now, I want to stop and return to who I truly am. Victor looked at me for a long time. In my eyes, he saw exhaustion. And a lightness and release he had never seen before. I understand. At last, he sighed. You always surprise people. But this is good too. He patted my shoulder. You go be your technology god. Leave the mundane company matters to us mundane people. As long as you remember to occasionally throw us one or two little things that can change the world. We looked at each other and smiled. I knew he understood me. That was enough. Life in the second line was more comfortable than I imagined. I no longer needed to wear suits every day and attend various meetings and events. I could wear my favorite t-shirts and jeans and soak in the lab for an entire day. I built a new, small, elite frontier technology exploration team. Our goal was no longer specific commercial products. It was the more distant, more disruptive technologies of the future. Quantum computing. Brain-computer interfaces. Controlled nuclear fusion. These concepts, still distant science fiction in the eyes of others, became the problems we tackled every day. It felt as if I had returned to those passionate days in that shabby rented apartment, creating Northstar. I had found the purest joy of being a technician again. One day, I was in the lab arguing with team members about the implementation of a quantum entanglement algorithm until our faces were red. My personal assistant knocked and came in. Her expression was strange. Chairman Hale, outside, there's a child asking for you. A child? I was confused. How old? Maybe 7 or 8. A very pretty little girl. She says her mother asked her to come find you. Her mother? Yes. She said her mother is named Evelyn Sterling. That name struck my mind like lightning. My brain went blank. Evelyn Sterling? She had a child? A 7 or 8-year-old girl? I quickly calculated the time in my head. 7 or 8 years ago. Wasn't that around the time before and after our divorce? An absurd, chilling thought rose from deep in my heart. Let her come in. My voice was dry. A moment later, my assistant led a little girl inside. The moment I saw her, my breathing stopped. That face. That young, yet terribly familiar face. The brows. The eyes. The nose. The lips. She was almost a copy of me when I was little. The girl was not shy. She opened her dark, bright eyes and studied me curiously. Then she asked in a clear, soft voice. Are you Lucas Hale? I crouched in front of her and looked at her. My throat felt stuffed with cotton. I could not say a word. Mom said. The little girl tilted her head. You're my dad. Her words exploded in my mind like a heavy bomb. I looked at her. At those eyes exactly like mine. My eyes instantly grew wet. I had a daughter. This realization turned my entire world upside down. I took the little girl to do a paternity test. The result was no surprise. Her name was Lily Hale. She was my biological daughter. I found Evelyn. She lived in an old rented apartment building. When she saw me, she showed no surprise. She only calmly poured me a glass of water. You know? Why didn't you tell me? My voice carried a tremor even I did not notice. Tell you for what? Evelyn smiled self-mockingly. So you could think I was trying to use the child to bind you or ask you for something? Lucas, I made mistakes, but I still had my last dignity. When I discovered I was pregnant, we were already preparing to divorce. I originally wanted to end the pregnancy. But the doctor said that with my body, if I did, I might never be able to have children again. I couldn't bear it. Her eyes reddened. So I secretly gave birth to her. These years, I raised her alone. It was very hard. But I never regretted it. Because she is the only light in my life. I looked at her. This woman whom life had ground down, who had lost all her sharp edges, yet still stubbornly protected her daughter. My heart was filled with complicated feelings. Then why let her find me now? I asked. Evelyn fell silent. After a long time, she took a hospital diagnosis report from the drawer. I'm sick. Her voice was very calm. Stomach cancer. Late stage. The doctors say I have half a year at most. Boom. My brain went blank. I looked at those glaring words on the diagnosis report and felt the world spin. I won't live much longer. Evelyn's face showed a faint smile of release. The only person I can't let go of is Lily. She's still so young. I can't let her follow me into. So I could only let her come find you. Lucas, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. But Lily is innocent. She is your daughter. I beg you, for the sake of blood, take care of her. Let her grow up safe. As she spoke, she slowly knelt. That once arrogant and untouchable sterling princess was now kneeling before me for her daughter. I hurried to help her up. My hands were trembling. My heart felt as if an invisible hand had gripped it tightly. The pain made breathing difficult. Get up. My voice was hoarse and unlike my own. She is my daughter. I will take care of her. And you. I looked at her pale face and said each word clearly. I will save you too. I won't let my daughter lose her mother so young. I used all my resources to find Evelyn the best doctors and the best treatment plans. I moved her out of that old apartment building and arranged for her to stay in the best private hospital. I told her money was not an issue. As long as she could live. Evelyn did not refuse. Perhaps for her daughter, she chose to cooperate with treatment. During treatment, I brought Lily to live with me. I learned to be a father. I learned to braid her hair. Tell her stories. Play games with her. This tiny life was like a beam of sunlight shining into my long-frozen heart. She let me feel love again. Warmth again. Because of Lily, Evelyn and I entered a strange, subtle relationship. We were no longer enemies. Nor husband and wife. We were Lily's father and mother. We went together with Lily to visit her in the hospital. We discussed Lily's education. We became like ordinary divorced parents who still maintained dignity. I never asked Evelyn whether she regretted it. She never apologized to me again. Some things, once past, are past. Mentioning them again no longer has meaning. We all chose to look forward. Under the best medical conditions, Evelyn's illness was miraculously controlled. Though it could not be cured completely, targeted treatment extended her life. The doctor said that if she maintained her condition well, she still had a long road ahead. When we heard this news, both she and I let out a breath. The happiest one was Lily. She hugged us both, crying and laughing. That's great. Daddy, Mommy, our family can be together again. Children speak without filters. But her words made both Evelyn and me fall silent. Remarriage? That thought had never appeared in my mind. I knew Evelyn felt the same. A broken mirror is hard to make whole again. Between us lay not only betrayal. There were also two entirely different life trajectories. We could not go back. But for our daughter, we were willing to become the best family. The ending of this story did not become a dramatic remarriage. I did not remarry Evelyn. We stayed together in a more mature and rational way. We were Lily's parents. We were an unerasable part of each other's lives. We were family. With my support, Evelyn's illness remained well controlled. She no longer needed to struggle for survival. She could focus on recovery and spend time with our daughter. After experiencing the greatest rises and falls of life, she shed all her glamour and became peaceful and transparent. She began learning to paint. That had been her dream when she was young. Her paintings no longer held the flashy stiffness of the past. They carried a new understanding and reverence for life. As for me, I continued my journey toward the stars and the sea. I led Apex Technologies to historic breakthroughs in quantum computing. We opened an entirely new era of computation. My life became complete because of my daughter. I was no longer the lonely king who lived only in a world of code. I was a father. A flesh-and-blood ordinary person with love and attachment. On weekends, I put down all work and took Lily to the park, the amusement park, and the museum. Sometimes, Evelyn came with us. The three of us walked beneath the sunlight like the most ordinary family of three. Passers-by would look at us with envy. They would never know what kind of earth-shaking love, hatred, and revenge once existed between us. What they saw was only a father, a mother, and a lovely daughter. Perhaps that was the best ending. No earth-shattering revenge. No tearful forgiveness. Only, after all storms had passed, a peaceful reconciliation. Reconciliation with the past self. Reconciliation with old wounds. Reconciliation with this imperfect yet hopeful world. I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window in my office, looking into the distance. The sunset painted the entire city gold. My daughter, Lily Hale, lay across my desk, drawing our family of three with colored pencils. In the picture, we held hands and smiled brightly. My phone vibrated. A message from Evelyn. Coming home for dinner tonight? I made your favorite braised pork. The corner of my mouth lifted in a warm curve. I replied. Okay. Outside the window, the city lights were beginning to glow. I knew that somewhere in this city, there was a light kept on for me. And that was enough. That's all for today's story. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment.